Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be making a peanut butter oat bar recipe that I saw on TikTok, so let's see how it goes. So pretty simple ingredients. We have 1.5 cups of peanut butter. Then we have half a cup of maple syrup, 1.5 cups of oats, about 1.5 cups of chocolate. I chose to use dark chocolate squares, but I'm sure milk chocolate will work fine. And finally, just a couple pinches of kosher salt. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put your peanut butter into a larger bowl, and you're going to really scrape the sides. Make sure you get all of that peanut butter out. Again, this is 1.5 cups. I don't recommend using the utensil I used. That worked like ass. I don't know if a fork would be better or a spoon, but don't use that weird silicone spatula. Then you're going to add in your half a cup of maple syrup, and it looks so nice being drizzled on top, and it's just fabulous. We love to see it. Then right after that, you're going to pop that whole bowl in the microwave for about 45 seconds-ish. After you're done microwaving your peanut butter maple syrup mixture, you're going to pop your oats into a blender. So I think anything would work, anything that can get it like grind it up fine, because you want it to be like a flour. I think the recipe that I use actually calls for oat flour, but I only had oats. So we made homemade oat flour. Or maybe that's not homemade oat flour, but that's what I'm going to call it because that sounds more fancy. So after you get your oats in the blender, you turn it on. Very exciting stuff. No, but I started mine on low. Didn't seem to work very well, so I ended up turning it up to high. I also had to take the cap off quite frequently and use a little spoon to like move shit around because it was only blending the middle part, and I definitely wanted to get as much blended as possible and get it as fine as possible just so I didn't have like bigger pieces of oat in the bars. But overall, worked pretty well. So it took about 2 minutes, but after 2 minutes I ended up with this little oat flour. Then I got out my peanut butter and maple syrup mixture again, and I just dumped the oat flour into that. So then it was mixing time. Mixing time with peanut butter is not the funnest time. So first I tried using a fork. As you can see, not working terribly, but not working the best. I found it really hard because all the peanut butter and maple syrup, it's so sticky, right? So it's all sticking to the fork, and it's an absolute mess. So then I decided to go in with my hands. The fork was definitely better. It's so sticky. It was sticking to my fingers, it was bad. So I would recommend sticking with the fork. Was it a little satisfying here? Yes, it was. But I would definitely recommend sticking with the fork. So after I was done mixing all of that up, I got it in an 8x8 pan and just laid like a piece of parchment paper on top just so it doesn't stick as much. As we have figured out, this is very sticky, so we'd like to actually be able to eat it and not have it stuck to the pan. But then I literally just poured it in, got as much out as I could. And then I flattened everything down. So luckily at this point it wasn't sticking to my hands as much, and I was able to really flatten it. Try and get it in the edges as much as possible. And at this point, I was pretty excited because it was looking very peanut buttery, very delicious. Like, my hopes are so high with this at this point. Once I got it flattened out as much as I could and really evened out the edges as much as I could, I just popped the whole thing into the fridge for about 3 hours-ish. After the 3 hours, it was chocolate time, and we love chocolate time. So I grabbed that bowl of dark chocolate. Again, just little squares. I think I got these from Walmart. I think really any type of chocolate would work. This was my first time ever melting chocolate, believe it or not. Again, this is amateur cooking. Like, we are trying out TikTok recipes. I am not experienced at all. But I just turned my burner on halfway. I used a stainless steel pot, I believe is what that is, and a spoon to stir it around occasionally. And it did not take long for it to start really melting. This was after probably 2 minutes or so, and at this point, like, it was almost done. There were only a couple of clumps left. It was looking beautiful. My hopes were so high, like, So delicious looking. So excited. So once all of the chocolate was melted, like completely, no chunks at all, I just brought the pot off the stove and brought it over to the little peanut butter maple syrup mixture and just drizzled it on top. I then started going in with a spoon and spreading it out as much as I could, especially trying to make sure to get those edges because we don't want the edges to be neglected. You know, some people, that's their favorite part, and I guess you want those people to be happy. You know, no judgment here, but the middle's definitely the best. But anyways, I just tried to make sure to spread it out as much as I could. I was kind of surprised to see how quickly the chocolate was hardening. Like when I was making this, I was expecting to have to wait an hour before being able to eat it because I figured the chocolate would take a while to like sit in the fridge and really harden up. But no, it was hardening as I was spreading it. So then at the very end, I just went in with a couple pinches of kosher salt. I almost forgot the kosher salt, but very happy that I remembered it because it just added like a final touch to it and gave it a little more character and spunk, and so exciting. Like, look at how nicely that looks with the kosher salt on top. I love it. I think it just added such a nice final touch, and I'm so happy with it at this point. Once I was done with the kosher salt, I just popped it in the fridge for about 5 minutes. I think it could definitely use 10 minutes because, as you can see, when I took it out, it was still quite soft. So if you have the time and can wait, I would definitely recommend about 10 minutes. So then it was finally time for me to cut myself a piece and try it. So I did go for a corner piece, just out of convenience, not out of preference. But as you can see, she looks really amazing and she looks delicious. And for me, like, that's the perfect amount of chocolate. Overall, I would really recommend this recipe because it's yummy, it's fulfilling, like, and I feel good about eating something like this.